The following is a list of Moors who have been kidnapped and are being held for a demand of income. The demand of income is being made against the family as well as through fraudulent submissions of documents alleging alleging that they are being cared for in some sort of long-term care fashion. These Moors have been kidnapped literally off the land by employees of various corporations guised as county, city, township, boroughs. These names that we have all been mentally conditioned to believe are government are not. They are exactly what they say they are. They are municipal corporations. And as such, if you do the research, you will find that they are foreign corporations on American soil. Therefore, they do not have standing nor jurisdiction to make a demand of income from the Aboriginal, indigenous people, or any people on American soil. This making their actions criminal. However, as Moors, we must bring these crimes to the forefront via civil complaints against these unalienable Constitution treaty secured rights of the people, Aboriginal, indigenous Moors. So we start off with our sister RVBey, who was kidnapped through a joint venture between Memphis Corporation and Shelby Corporation under the purview of Tennessee. Now we say under the purview of Tennessee, which is a union state, because every union state is bound and obligated to protect the people from foreign and domestic invasion. We then have Daoud Ill under the purview of Arkansas, Amir Muslimin Ill under the purview of Missouri, as well as Kush Ra Kush Bay. We have Asar Patar Amin Ra under the purview of Ohio. And if we don't have the municipal corporation, the ones that did the kidnapping, the employees that did the kidnapping, we just reference the union state that is bound and obligated to protect the people. We have Jeremy Paler Ill, Terry Thorne Bay, J. McCall Brooks Bay, Joseph Canaday Ill, Kush Amir Bunch Ill, Emmanuel Billings Bay, Yassin Khalik Alamin Ill, and Michael Curry Bay, all being held under the purview of North Carolina. Noble Crisco Ill, being held under the purview of New Jersey. Messiah Aziz Ill and Crystal Ill being held through a joint venture between Mercer, Freehold, and Trenton Corporation under the purview of New Jersey. We're still waiting on an update regarding the Patricia Bay's infant baby kidnapped by Atlantic Corporation under the purview of New Jersey. Eldridge Teron Fisher Ill and Marquise Sevillon Ill under the purview of Indiana. Solomon Ill Bay and Mumi Abu Bay under the purview of Texas. William Barrett Ill and Bomani Abidwell Ill, William Barrett A. kidnapped under the purview of Virginia, and Bomani Abidwell Ill kidnapped by Chesapeake Corporation under the purview of Virginia, RVBey under the purview of West Virginia, Thomas Lee Bey under the purview of California, Victor Eduardo Juarez Ill, kidnapped under the purview of Harlem, under the purview of Georgia, Natural Tahuti Ill, kidnapped by Benner Corporation under the purview of Pennsylvania Corporation, and then Rennie Bay, kidnapped by Hamilton Corporation under the purview of Ontario, which is a subcorporation of Canada. All right. There we have Moors who have been kidnapped and are being held hostage by employees of various corporations on American soil, which is in violation of the American Constitution, and it is a treaty violation. And being that we're talking about Moorish Americans, Aboriginal Indigenous on this land, who are being kidnapped by foreign, or rather employees of a foreign corporation on American soil, this makes this an international issue, because you have two nations with one nation warring against another. Therefore, this is an international issue. If you have a family member near or far of your immediate family or one of the family that you know and you would like them added to this list, please send an email to MHHS-Eyes-Wide-Open@gmail.com, and in the subject line put Kidnap Moor, and please provide us with their free national appellation, the municipal corporation that the employee is operating through that kidnapped them, along with the union state that they are in, that corporation is in purview to. All right? Thank you very much. All right, Islam, and welcome to MHHS-Eyes Wide Open. This is your host, Anita L., along with my co-host, Ms. Raim Alice L., who hasn't pressed one yet. Where are you, Miss? There you go. All right, Islam.
Islam, pardon me, I forgot to press one. Peace and love,
That's all right. All right.
Right.
Then we have Rosmariah Bay diligently back there in the laboratory working.
Islam, peace and love to all.
Islam. Yes. There are actually some more people that I need to add to the list of kidnapped Moors. But I only saw the emails, right before we came on and started the broadcast. So I'll be updating that list as well. So next week we'll have an updated recording for that. Let's see. I want to send, first of all, a big shout out to our internet listeners. The chat room is open. Big shout out to our family listening near the Great Britain Corporation, Islam. Family listening over in Japan, Islam, near the Japan Corporation, I should say, Islam. Family over near the Netherlands Corporation, Islam, Brother Alvasset, and let's see, family listening near the Philippine Corporation, Islam, family listening near the Mexico, Venezuela, Brazil, Cuba Corporations, Islam, and I need to send a special shout out to the family near the in the Atlantis Islands. I apologize, family. I've been neglecting to send a big shout out to you. And I know there are people near the Trinidad Corporation listening, Islam, family near the Jamaica Corporation, Islam, family near the Barbados Corporation, Islam, as well as family near the Puerto Rico Corporation, Islam. And thank you so much for joining and listening to this broadcast. A big shout out to our callers. Thank you so much for calling in every Tuesday, filling up the phone lines before the broadcast even begins, sharing the information, building together. Thank you. So with that, I think that's everything. Tomorrow we will be at the National Theater near Harlem doing a live class. We will be there in the flesh for the next remaining Wednesdays of the month. So we'll see you on the 2nd, the 3rd, and the 4th. And just an update, we also have a health class that broadcasts every first Wednesday of the month. So make sure and check that out.
Sister Carew.
It's Sister Carew, yes. Sister Carew. So make sure and check that out. We and get some information on that as well. So we're going to jump right into.
I just want to say something to you. When you just mentioned about the Caribbean Isles, Trinidad, Puerto Rico, it started making me think of international, even though we're nationals. It started making me think of the international exchange that we all have with each other. And it made me think about what we were talking about earlier. Just real quick, is that so many of our Moors here think that they're doing international activity by going somewhere else without realizing that if they do activities and exchanges with their brethren, fellow Moors and fellow Moorish brothers and sisters, right here where they are, that is international.
Yes, it is.
Yep. Hey, look, they go somewhere else talking about international, and they don't even do business with their own or exchange anything with their own people in their own international venue, which is their home. But yet they're going to go somewhere else.
Exactly.
That's crazy.
It is.
Yeah.
I just want to give a big, an update to our callers. When you call in, we've been giving people the number that we have been using since we started this blog talk of hold on a minute. I just want to. The number has always been 347-945-5899. However, I finally was able to speak with someone about that number because it's not the call-in number. It's going to be at some point it's going to be going away because they are changing carriers. So if you call that number, they will give you another number to call. And that number is 319-527-6751. And that number is also on the blog.
Repeat that number again. Can you repeat that number again?
Yes. The number is 319-527-6751. They're actually in the process of transitioning to a new carrier. So we have two numbers operating. Actually, we got three. But what any one of them, if you call any one of them and it says that the show is full, it's only full for that line. There's two other lines that you can call, but I believe ultimately we're going to be 319-527-6751. 6751. All right?
Right.
So that's the number we should be calling into, and make sure you listen to everything, because if the number should change in the future for whatever reason, it's going to say that the line is full. Call this number, and it will give you it will reference another number to call. So always
that's
make
what it's
sure.
saying now. It's saying now, which is, it's saying the show that you have called is full, and then people hang up, but they don't listen for it to say call this number. Yeah.
Yes, but
right.
That's if you're calling the original number, which was, and I know this sounded confusing. Our original call-in number was 347-945-5899. That number is still active, but it only has a certain number of lines, and then it transitions into the new number. So if you call and there's only and there are no more lines available, it will say that the line is full, and then it will say, please call 319-527-6751. But if you hang up, as soon as they say the line is full, you will never get the alternate call-in number where there are the remaining lines for the show. So always listen to the complete message, because if there if they're rerouting the call, they're going to give you the number to call so that you can get in and listen to the show. All right, and that's it's going to transition out, but at this time, like I said, we got a couple of numbers to call in. So I will be what I'll be doing is in the syllabus that goes out and is posted on the MHHS-Eyes Wide Open Facebook page, and anyone who gets the email, I will be listing both of the numbers. So everybody, if there are available lines, you should be able to get in. All right. So with that, let us move on to today's subject matter. I mean, we have so many things that we wanted to talk about. I mean, it's just so much discussion to be had. But at the last minute, I changed it to the topic of today is the election. What does it mean? Who is it for? And what does the American Constitution have to say about it? Now, you have to, people, there's so much that's going on today that most people are like totally, absolutely unaware of, because they have not been given the information and they haven't taken the time to study. Even though Prophet Noble Drew Ali said, study, 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 you have an illustrious history. He left us certain pointers so that we would be clear regarding what is going on today. However, if you do not go back and do the necessary research, you're not going to have that information. And I will say this, even though you may listen to this broadcast, we give you information not for you to just take it and run. We give you this information for you to take it and go and research it and know for yourself. It's your obligation to know. It's not my obligation to make sure you know. It's not even my obligation to make sure that the information I'm giving you, you are clear on. That's not my obligation. That's not my job. Really, what we do here, we do voluntarily. We're sharing the information that we have dug up because, in my opinion, if I dug up the information, you should not have to go and dig up the same information again. If there is a venue that is providing the information, and when I say the information, I'm not saying I'm providing you an analysis of what I think the information is saying. That's not what's happening here. We're giving you the information straight, no chaser. You take that information and you read it and you determine if you come to the same conclusion as I. That is your obligation. All right? So that's what we're doing here. I am not a teacher per se. I am a sharer because there's so much information, and I just happen to have a knack and an extreme interest in finding stuff out. And I don't want to find all of this stuff out and take it with me to the grave. So it is fortunate that we have this venue called Moorish Heritage and History School where we can come together and share information that we have found so that we're not taking it to the grave. Islam?
Hey, that was beautifully said. Thank you.
Well said. Absolutely.
Well
Absolutely. 100 rounds of applause for that. Yeah.
Oh, and Eid, I have to add, that reminds me of our candid conversation earlier where you had said so eloquently, listen, the people are being forced to do things under threat, duress, and coercion. And here, and paying for things that are really for free. And here we're giving the information for free, basically, what we're doing. And other people are saying, well, you have to motivate the people. And you're saying, wow, if it's not enough, motivation that they're being forced into by threat and duress, what more motivation do you need?
Absolutely. We were, and let me just say this. It sounds, look, I'm going to be real clear, all right? Here's the deal, and everybody listening ought to be able to comprehend where I'm coming from, all right? Everybody on this phone listening or will be listening, everybody in some form or fashion is forced under threat and duress to pay somebody to have a roof over your head. Everybody under some form of threat and duress is compelled to pay for resources that is free. All right? Everybody under some form of threat and duress compelled to pay for food so that you can eat. All right? Everybody in some form is compelled under threat and duress to protect themselves and their baby. All right? If this constant feeling of threat and duress does not motivate you to take the information that is freely given to you and use it to bring some relief to your situation, nothing else will ever motivate you. Nothing else. Because I feel it every second of the day, and it motivates me. I don't need anybody to come and motivate me. The fact that every 10th of the month I am compelled to find these Federal Reserve notes so that I can pay to have a place to live, and every week I got to find a way to put food in my mouth, and every month around the 10th or the 15th, I have to find a way to pay for natural resources that is free so that I can survive. That is real to me. That's my daily, hourly, secondly motivation. And if that's not your motivation, you need to just leave this information alone and go back to wherever you came from.
To go back to the state in which I found you.
And with that being said, hey, Ma, check this out. With that being said, right, if people are not motivated, if I'm just saying, just if, like we know this has nothing to do with us, but if Donald Trump does get in office and that's not enough motivation for you, if he keep putting the boot up your kisser, y'all will see, you know what I mean? Or whoever comes through next. That's just what it is. If you're not motivated, then I don't know what to say. You know what I mean?
Yes.
I really don't.
That brings us to the discussion, Anna E., which you're going to introduce in reference to the Constitution, and so the people will understand who this president is for. This president is for the United States of America, which are the foreigners who are operating on the American land. It is not the president of the American land or the United States. The United States of America specifically. And if you're not you go ahead and introduce them. This is the crux of the enforcement of the law on your land.
Yes, it is.
And you know what? People are going to be forced. I think they're going to be forced now to recognize this.
Yes.
And it's real right now, right? I mean, my fault. I just wanted to say, just the premise, where we're at starting the show, right? Because we know the Electoral College has the bottom line say-so on who the president is going to be, and that this has been thought out years ago. Like, they knew yesterday who the president was going to be. Really, for that corporation.
Years ago. At least 40, at least 50 to 100 years ago, this was already put in place.
It was already put in place.
Yeah.
It was already put in place. So we here now, right? And I'm just saying, just to stay current with this, because, you know, whatever goes on our land in one way or another has a certain sort of effect on us, but not necessarily that we're a part of it. But just like right now, I'm just saying for the record, some people might be on it, and it might not mean anything to anybody. But at this particular time, it looks like Trump is blowing out Hillary Clinton 137 to 104. And Trump having a lot of the Midwestern region or the middle region of Northwest of Mexico, the quasi-corporations, you know, operating there, goes to show, you know, the mentality of where these people are at in a certain aspect. I don't know who's going to win. I know, Trump, he just won another state. What's that? Montana. Okay, so Trump is winning all the big states or quasi-national domiciles, meaning it's looking like it's nothing Hillary can do at this point to win. That's just right now, though. So because, well, actually, although Montana is a so-called big state, they only have 3 electoral votes coming out of that state. So-called state, anyway. You know what I mean? So it's really not that much. And I know this has nothing to do with us, but I'm just saying to stay current. You know what I mean? All right, so I just want to say that.
Well, lastly, and then I yield. And on top of that, this is the President of the United States of America. And the only powers that they have is the executive power, if you know the Constitution, which means to enforce law, not to make any. And if they make anything, you know their statutes, and they're not for you anyway. And I yield.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly.
All right.
Article 6.
All right. Now, let's look at this. Now, if you go to your American Constitution, I meant to highlight this, and I apologize. Article 1. Let's see. Section 3. I want to say. It references Section 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, Clause 4 in the clause 5. Now, it says the vice president of the United States shall be president of the Senate, but shall have no vote unless they be equally divided. Then it says the Senate shall choose their other officers and also a president pro tempore in the absence of the vice president or when he shall exercise the office of the president of the United States. So this is telling you that there's supposed to be a president and a vice president of the United States. Now, when we go to Article 2 of the American Constitution, which I'm trying to find. Yes, Article 2. It says, hold on, let me find it. The executive power shall be vested in the President of the United States of America. All right? So now this is telling you that this election that is going on today is for the President of the United States of America. That election is supposed to be only involving modern Europeans. However, you will hear people today, Asiatics, talking about, you know how many of us black folks died so that you can have a right to vote? You always had the right to vote for your president, which falls under the United States. But there has been no election in all my life for a president of the United States that we, Asiatic people, can participate in. There it is right there in the Constitution. So there's supposed to be an election for our people, but there is none because we are so busy trying to get up under the United States of America and vote for their people, which has nothing to do with us because this is all about business. If you understand the whole reason for these modern Europeans coming over here, it was for them to engage in commerce. The President of the United States of America, which the one going out is Obama, he is a modern European. Every president before him and after him must be a modern European because the United States of America construct was established for modern Europeans. It was established so that they could engage in commerce. So whoever they have to sit in that seat is supposed to be able to go and engage in business with other corporations around the world on behalf of the United States of America. Now, everybody seems to forget the original 13th Amendment. All right? In the original 13th Amendment, it reads, if any citizen of the United States shall accept, claim, receive, or retain any title of nobility or honor, or shall without the consent of Congress accept and retain any present, pension, office, or emolument of any kind, whatever, that would be payment, money, credit, from any emperor, king, prince, or foreign power, such person shall cease to be a citizen of the United States and shall be incapable of holding any office of trust or profit under them or either of them. This is right in the American Constitution, people. So now let's look at Hillary and Clinton. I am sure that maybe one, well, let me just say this. Hillary may have some sort of, what do you call it? she may have something indicating that she's a member of the bar, all right, which is the Barrister Association, which automatically means that she's an esquire, which automatically, according to this, means that she ain't even supposed to be running for that seat. She ain't even a United States citizen, or she can't be a citizen of the United States. She can't be a citizen of the United States. All right? She is incapable of holding any office of trust or profit under them or either of them. How the hell is she running for a seat? All right? So now let's look at Trump and Hillary again. I am willing to bet that they have investments, and I know that those investments are in the biggest industry going on this land today, the prison industry. All right? Every prison that is in operation on this land is built and maintained by municipal corporations. Municipal corporations are foreign corporations on American soil. That means that they're receiving emolument, money, payment, credit from a foreign power, which automatically ceases them to be citizens of the United States and incapable of holding any office of trust or profit under them or either of them. So what is going on today? But let's not stop there. Let's go to the 20 sections of the next part of the original 13th Amendment. Section 12 says, the traffic in slaves with Africa is hereby forever prohibited on pain of death and the forfeiture of all the rights and property of persons engaged therein, and the descendants of Africans shall not be citizens. Well, you can't be a citizen of the United States of America because that construct isn't there for you. The construct that is there for the descendants of Africans is the United States, which is really Moor. All right? So let's go to the first section. It says that if the traffic in slaves with Africa, this is Africa, do you know that, shall forever be prohibited on pain of death and forfeiture of all the rights and property of persons engaged therein. Now, because we know for a fact that Donald Trump and Hillary Clinton received emolument through the prison industry, which is unconstitutionally sanctioned enterprise on American soil, that means that they are trafficking in slaves, African descent slaves. That means that it's prohibited on pain of death and forfeiture of all rights and property. Now, when you combine that with the other section that I read, where it says that if any person receives any emoluments from any foreign power, they shall cease to be citizens, incapable of holding any office of trust or profit under them or either of them. These two people, every one of them, every one of their candidates prior to, were never eligible to sit in that seat and do what they have done or will do. And the only reason that they have been doing it is because not only are the Asiatics sleeping in a fog, but the modern Europeans are as well. This land here is for everybody to come and live freely. And let me just give a little shout out to the modern Europeans who are listening. I want to send you a special message. No more has ever ever come to you and said, you've got to go. We've never done that. There may be modern Europeans out there who don't want it to go back to the way things were, where you were the original slave. Look, you need to do your history because it was our people that freed you from slavery and helped you to establish yourself as a nation, as Hillary Clinton noted in the Benjamin Franklin Room in 2012. It's our people that helped you to establish a nation. It's our people that you adopted this American Constitution and promised that you would adhere to it so that you would be able to continue to live in the land of the free and be free. All right? We never enslaved you. We freed you. It is your own fellow peers, modern Europeans, who are today enslaving you and pitting you against the very people who freed you. There's no more here that has ever come and asked you for taxes. There's no more here that has compelled you under threat or duress to pay a mortgage and then after that, on top of that, after that, pay taxes. That's modern European municipal corporations doing that. We're here today to try not just to free us, but to free everybody, because this is supposed to be the land of the free. This freeing is not just for Moor. And this declaring of your nationality is not just for your Moors. That means that modern Europeans, you're not American, or whatever your forefathers were. Claim it and be proud of it. Because as long as you claim to be something other than what you are, you will be taken advantage of, because this American Constitution only protects those who have declared, meaning are clear of their nationality. This American Constitution protects people who enforces that Constitution. And that American Constitution, coupled with the Treaty of Peace and Friendship, can only help you if you declare for yourself what your nationality is. And by the way, American is not a nationality. Islam. So
it's not, girl. That could be the State of the Union from the Moors. What you just said. Well, all right. Or the State of the Union of the Moors. And I don't mean Union State. I mean state by being conditioned, because that's what state means. But that was well said.
Yes. So we all have a lot of work to do. Me personally, I don't hate you modern Europeans. I don't hate you. And you know what? It don't matter to me if you hate me, because I already know how the principles of the universe work. So it would behoove you to love me, because in loving me, you're really loving yourself.
Yes.
So if we would all love each other, we are in truth loving ourselves. And so today being a day where the vast majority of people are absolutely being played, well, on this broadcast, we're trying to enlighten you so that you can have a bit of illumination, so that you can have the light to guide your future activities. And I trust that you will take this information and study it and know it. And please don't just listen and run away with it, because you may run away and never come back. Islam?
That was, like I said, yeah. Was that the presidential speech? No, but it's very, very real. You know, what you just said is very, very real. And I think that we just gave really a dawning of the light of truth that many will find themselves being forced to utilize, to take in, and to effectuate. That's what's happening now, because it's the truth. And it's just like the part where you said about love. Well, the prophet said in one of his writings that the way is, I think it's in religious controversy writing, and he says that the only way is through love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice being taught to all nations. And that's what's happening. That's what it is, because we're all going to be forced to gain these understandings. Islam.
Mm-hmm. Wow.
And let me say this one more thing to help put it in perspective. What is being said here is the difference of the United States of America comprising the Union States and consisting of the foreign modern Europeans, as you just said. They're not the Americans. They're occupying on the land. That is a quasi-national domicile. All of the states, Union states, that you're naming, that they renamed themselves with these fictitious boundaries, they are all quasi-national domiciles. Therefore, Moors who are nationals can't be a citizen of that Islam.
Nope. Yes.
Right. And they already said that was the case. They've been said that was the case. So when they refer to, certain aboriginals in legal format or, void writs of that and things of that nature, there's always a misrepresentation there, of Negro, black, colored, and things of that nature. But and what they do is they refer to people as subjects. They'll blatantly put that in the writing of their not lawful but legal documents. You know what I mean? And I emphasize not lawful but legal. But, it is what it is. I see it like this, They say love is love. And, the best thing we can do is love opposed to hate, and that's the real fact. Either way we look at it, just speaking from the election or selection or the dog and pony show or the donkey versus elephant, as the sister Ms. Aries said, you know what I mean? Like, you know what I mean? Big acknowledgement to her. Is that, to me, it's all rooted in fraud anyway, because if Article 4, and not if, but for the fact that it is solidified that Article 4, Section 4 of the American Constitution guarantees a republic, how can there ever even be a election between anybody claiming to be a Democrat versus somebody claiming to be a Republican? Now, I look at Trump and I say, in all law, regardless of what he's claiming, he's a Democrat. That's exactly what he is with the appellation or using the title of Republican. Same thing with Hillary. So it's like, these are all Democrats, because if they wasn't, like, that should be enough to shut down anybody's campaign as far as running as a Democrat. Pulling out the law of the land, Article 4, Section 4. By law, this candidate is not qualified to have any seat. I mean, if somebody was campaigning like that, in the interest of law and the law of the land, that should be enough to shut a Democratic campaigner down. But they don't do that, because really they're all Democrats trying to overthrow the republic. And my thing is this: we know at the end of the day, the bottom line comes from the electoral college, you know, which is representative in its nature, meaning like, you know, it could be double-digit millions of people in the area that they call Texas, but at the end of the day, it comes down to 38 submissions of a say-so that's going to determine, you know, the opinion of that quasi-national domicile in their subjects, you know. So they got 38 representatives saying, yeah, this is what our people are saying. This is the opinion of all of our people. So we're going with this. You know what I mean? We're going with this person. But, you know, I see it like this. Either way it goes down, you know, we spoke about this earlier. Either way it goes down, I don't know, you know, how to even say this, but we look at quasi-national domiciles that are backing Trump right now, according to these polls, right? And we know this is a joke, but I'm just saying what they're putting on the record. You got places like Texas who are supporting Trump, like he's won that. And you got to go back into the history of Moors because he's talking about building a wall. And I'm thinking of it like the nerve of these pilgrims to act like they're American, you know, going back to what you said as far as, you know, is American a nationality or not. However you want to look at it, these pilgrims cannot make that claim of being American in any type of de jure fashion. That's dog and pony show. So what I'm saying is they got all of these places where Moors predominantly, like, you know, pre-colonial were heavy at with certain civilizations, current day backing, quote-unquote, Trump, with a mission to ban Muslims, you know, to keep, quote-unquote, Mexicans out of, quote-unquote, America, you know, or quote-unquote, their country. I just see it like this, you know, and I won't go in on this too long. I just see it like this, you know. Some of the sentiments that Donald Trump has, there's a lot of Europeans, you know, a lot of Europeans who feel the same exact way. So I don't know, like, I know that these elections don't have anything necessarily to do with our people, but there's certain things that have a certain effect, you know, and I'm just looking at it like if Donald Trump gets in, is there an open war that's going to jump off? Or if Hillary Clinton gets in, is it still going to be that quiet war perpetuated? That's just basically where I'm thinking with it. And with that, I just wanted to add that on, and I yield the floor. Just interesting times.
Either way, the people are going to be forced to make changes. And when I say the people, I'm talking about the American, the Aboriginal, Indigenous Moors, the nationals here, are going to have to make changes. They will be forced to do so.
Absolutely.
It's already been prophesied at it. Yes.
Yeah, that's absolutely true. So Trump just got another state, right? He's eating up the middle of North America. He's owning that right now, according to these, you know, results. So I'm just saying.
Can you talk about the war existing already, in that it is what a civil war really is? Because a civil war is really in the courts, and that's already been going down. The civil war is not with guns, right? And we have not recognized that is what has been happening.
Yeah, I'll just say this: if Hillary Clinton doesn't win California and everything else, it's a wrap. Like, your boy Trump might be in there. But, yeah, I'll say this, that, you know, the Civil War has been going on, you know. I don't know if, like we were speaking earlier, it's been a lot of people who got relaxed. You know, they thought Obama was their savior, and politically got laxed as if, you know, they was on top now because Obama was in office, and how quickly that time has came and went. You know what I mean? 8 years. There's some people who are holding on to the euphoric aspect of a quote unquote. They'll say, you know, they'll assume that he's quote unquote black, but we know that that's not the case. Or again, that could be disputed, meaning, you know, in the aspect of black meaning pale and his mother being a European. But I'm just saying, you know, as far as him being an Asiatic or Moor, that has always been in question. You know what I mean? And then there's aspects where you say it's not a question because his mother was a European, but his identity. So prima facie, a lot of people did get comfortable while he was in that position, as if, you know, Negro, black, colored people was back on top now or something. But like, you know, I said, that time has came and went basically. And I would just like to I'll pose the question to you all. What do you think the results are from so-called Obama being in position of power? Do you think our people made progress since he's been in that position? Even though we know it has nothing to do with us, but for those who were, you know, under that euphoria.
I'll say this, all right?
Yeah.
If people go back 8 years, going on 8 years, almost a little under 8 years ago, our people, they were on the move. They were on the move. They were doing things. There was a momentum. Just like down there in Alabama when they decided to boycott the buses, and they had the momentum, they had to send somebody in to break the momentum.
Yeah.
All right? Back then, it was Martin Luther King. Martin Luther King came in, broke the momentum, just shy of people, the Asiatic people realizing just how much just how much power they have. Here we go. Obama comes in just on the brink of the Asiatic people once again getting ready to find out just how much power they really have. So they gave the Asiatic people a bone to calm them down and put them back to sleep. And the momentum was lost.
Right, but they for the Christian agenda that underlies, you know, the U.S.A. politics motivation, you know, they picked up momentum because I'll say this.
Yes.
They picked up. They did kind of pick up momentum.
They did, but here's the thing: that was the whole purpose. All right, because if the Asiatic people had maintained that momentum, because you got to remember, this is all about finance for modern Europeans. People look at this and they're like, oh, you know, I mean, really, you know, our people need a serious history lesson, or I should say heritage lesson. They need a serious heritage lesson because the only reason that modern Europeans are here is to be able to engage in commerce. There's nowhere else. I mean, and look, in the 1400s, because people don't know the history. In the 1400s, you know, there was no mention of modern Europeans, all right? People need to go back to the 14, 15, 16, early 1700s, early 1800s, all right? Modern Europeans, that just because they whitewash pictures today and they have gotten us into their institutions so that they can mentally give us they gave us his story that we are regurgitating today as if that is fact. That crap did not happen. And it's amazing because it's all starting to come out. It's coming out. I mean, they're writing. When Julie did his lecture a couple months ago, he referenced several books that talks about what they're calling white enslavement. That's the enslavement. The white slaves, not enslavement. The white slaves. That's talking about the original slaves. All right. So their reason for coming over here, actually as slaves, they didn't have a place in history. We gave them a place in history. All right. We did that. So we need to understand what's going on. For them, it's all about, I need to be able to engage in business to better my family. What is the construct of that family? The United States of America. So for them, it's not personal, it's business. For us, it's always personal. And I'm not saying it should always be personal, I'm not saying we should be business always, but we need to recognize what is going on. These people, and it's not everybody that's like this. It's a few people that's like this. But it's that few people that make it terrible and unbearable for everybody. I mean, shoot, we got a few people in our own immediate family that makes it unbearable for the rest of the family. So we know what this is like. It's not a mystery. So we need to be looking at this a bit objectively and stop looking at things in a vacuum. For them, it's all about business. They will sacrifice and they do. They sacrifice their entire family for business. All right? Now, and then we got some of our own that's trying to duplicate their actions. But we can't do that. We have to do better. That's our heritage. We have to do better. We're the ones that are supposed to be enforcing the Constitution. We're the ones that are supposed to be making sure through that document that the checks and balances are balanced. And we're supposed to be working. We're the ones that are supposed to be the gatekeepers to ensure that this land is the land of the free, available for everybody. That Constitution is not just for modern Europeans. It's for anybody who steps foot on American soil. It protects everybody, regardless of your national standing. But you got to have a national standing. Because without a national standing, nobody knows what law applies to you. And yeah, this is a civil war. It is a civil war. But the civil war has not been waged for a long time, because if in order for it to be a civil war, we got to bring this into a civil venue. And going in and exchanging what I'll call love notes with employees of a municipal corporation is not a civil action. Exactly. We are an international people, which means you can't, and I'm going to tell you from my own experience, you can't go into anything that falls under a union state sanction and get international remedy, because that's not their area. All right?
Yeah,
that's not their lane. All right? You're never going to, we are an international people. The minute that we had any type of altercation with a modern European, it is an international issue. You can't go into a state venue. You have to bring it into a federal venue. But the federal venue can't be state sanctioned. And if you do bring it there, you better be ready to bring the hammer down as the judge. All right? Because they will try to run their state preferences in a federal venue over you. This is why knowing that Constitution is imperative, because you can't have a civil war where you're talking civil law suit if you don't know the law, number one. Number two, how to enforce it from an international venue. All right? You need to comprehend that. And international doesn't mean get on a plane and go to the other side of planet Earth. International means, what is your nationality? Are you a Moor? No? Oh, this is international. Islam?
Islam. Yeah, I would say, like I said, I just keep the updates going as we're going through this. Not that it applies to us, just so we on current event on this quote-unquote special day, ritual day. But Trump just won another quasi-national domicile. So he's up 168 to Clinton's 109, to Hillary's 109. I just wanted to add that on.
Mm-hmm.
And it looks like, he's about to win this based off of this. So, I'm just saying, I don't know, but it's definitely about to have to be a level up.
Well, here's the thing.
Yeah.
I'll say this.
It's going to have to be a level up.
It doesn't matter what public servant, emphasis on the servant, is in any employment position.
That's true.
Because the bottom line is this. The people, I don't care if you're a Moor or a modern European, the people are supposed to be telling the public servants who they are paying to perform their job what to do. And I work in an industry, right? And I just want to say this: I work in an industry, and I know there's a lot of modern Europeans that have children in this area where they either have some sort of birth defect or brain injury, because there's a huge amount of modern Europeans specifically that have children with brain injuries for whatever reason. They fell off a motorcycle or something, or was riding a motorcycle without a helmet, and they got some kind of brain injury. And there's a huge amount of them out there. And I hear every year that the finance is being cut away from these people being taken care of. And I see these people crying and begging the public servant that is employed and gets a paycheck to do their job. They're crying and asking them to give them what they are obligated to give them. And it's not just modern Europeans. Our people do this too. It's like the people have totally forgotten that they're in charge. And they don't know how to give direction. Every time we're saying, I need you to do this, I need you. Can you do this? Can you do this? Can you review this, Rick, and enforce? Can you review this and tell them don't do this anymore? Basically, because that's what we're asking. I'm including myself in this. But apparently, we all need to grow some balls and do our job of directing the public servants, all right, who are employed and receive a paycheck to do their job. We all need to start telling the public servants what to do as opposed to asking the public servants, can they help? Can they do this? Can we do this? Can we do this? This whole dog and pony bullcrap that's going on today means absolutely nothing. It means nothing because the bottom line is the people on American soil, the people are supposed to be calling the shots. Nobody. There is no law there is no law, there is no case law, there is nothing constitutionally sound or sanctioned that says that the public servant can tell the people what they can and cannot do. There's nothing like that.
You mean in the Constitution, which is the guideline?
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah. Also, though, we got to keep in mind this. You are so correct, and this is so true. But there's people with malintentions that are up at hand. You know what I mean? Meaning that Donald Trump is on record saying that whatever his intentions are, the laws will have to be suspended but come back into place. Like, he's on record on his campaign saying this. So imagine if he gives that void order, like there's a lot of void orders out here right now that, you know, quiet weapons for silent war, silent weapons for quiet war. You know, if that's the type of order that's given and they carry that out, you know, which has been a part of their Christian agenda for a while now. See, my thing is this. I look at it like this. You know, this is just my perspective. Like, okay, everything is connected to everything, right? We know that's a fact. These Europeans are operating on our ancestral state. That is a fact. So I'm just seeing it like this. Hillary Clinton is on record, among many other of the malicious things that's going on. She's on record acknowledging Moors, the treaty, and things of that nature. Like, that's on record. That's a fact. Donald Trump, on the other hand, is, you know, he's kind of inverted with his admiration for Moors. It's more of a subliminal thing with him because he's basically saying, you know, okay, yeah, Trump is winning a lot of spots, but I'm just saying his admiration for Moors or Muslims is that of a sublime thought through art form. Again, and I mentioned this before, but he built a legacy based off of Muslims. Trump Taj Mahal, things like that. You know, Atlantic City, so-called Vegas, so-called Atlantic City, etc. You know, the Trump Taj, the Taj Mahals, things of that nature, Trump Plazas and things like that. So, more so, he has a secret admiration that's kind of obvious for Moors, but Hillary, she's on record acknowledging Moors. Now, I know they both have, you know, Christian agendas, but do you favor one more or the other because of that? I mean, I personally don't. And I know that no matter what, you know, you are absolutely correct. Like, none of their limited authority can supersede the law of the land. But there's a lot of people who are with the concept of, yeah, forget it. Let's do the martial law. Let's suspend the laws. Let's ban Americans from their own ancestral state via putting a wall on the artificial borders that they're calling Mexico and things like that. You know, intensifying religious profiling by banning certain Muslims or Muslims and things like that. It's just a Christian agenda that I see at hand, you know, more so on one than the other. I don't know if I'm wrong for that, but I just see it like that. You know what I mean? That we know there has always been a certain distinguishment in law and history from Moors, and this is not to sound like we on some holier than thou. We're just speaking from the actual facts of historical references where, you know, Moors who have been recognized have been distinguished from Moors who have been denationalized, taking the Sundry Free Moors Act as an example, whereas they were blatantly saying that we're not Negroes, blacks, and coloreds, you know, coming up under the protections of the treaties, distinguishing them in status from those that were Negro, black, and colored. Now, we know it's like, you know, an open war going on right now, or civil war, as you were saying, that it's been declared, but it hasn't been publicly declared. I see it like, you know, either it's going to continue as a civil war, or they're just going to openly declare, like, look, we warring on y'all, and this is the bottom line, one way or the other. So I don't know. That's the only thing I'm seeing, you know, looking at it from a prudence perspective of what, you know, because like we were speaking, like Hillary, what is she? She's Wicca, right? Or DAR, or both, right?
Both.
And she's both. Okay, and one thing that she has, you know, in a certain aspect, that in certain aspects our sisters don't have, and our brothers haven't uniformly formulated, I would say. You know, pardon me for those who have, but one of the things she has is military, you know, that has multiple faces, from the local police to the U.S. Army, Navy, and things like that, who are willing to follow orders, regardless if they like them or not. They know that role of, you know, that's the order, that's what it is. And that's just something I don't see that we have like that, you know. So either way, it's a historical time or a shift in energy. That's all I want to say as far as what I see from this altogether. You know what I mean? Is that either way you look at it, it's a shift in certain energies, meaning that Donald Trump continues his legacy, moving from one corporate field, being casinos, you know, to the next corporate field, being the U.S.A. I would say
casino,
that
being another
yes,
casino.
another form of monopoly, right? We know that these people are a joke. You know, the Trump card is the Joker if you're playing spades. You understand? So the whole point is that if he does assume the role from the miniature or the microcosm aspect of business on the island, which is symbolic of the whole corporate United States being Atlantic City, to, you know, the bigger portion, he just won Florida, meaning this might be a rat, you know what I'm saying? So, on that scale, I would say that he would have to, it would probably be symbolic of him continuing that legacy of failing. And people say, oh, well, how can he, you know, run this corporation, but he went bankrupt? We was talking about that earlier, too. You got to also keep in mind, though, that bankruptcy is nothing new to the U.S. Corporation. You understand? Like, we all know what happened, with the Roosevelt administration and things like that. And then there was times prior to that in the 1800s where that corporation went bankrupt. But they're all about bouncing back and redemption. So they're looking at it like, yo, you think you could bounce us back out of this situation? From a business aspect. And I'm going to yield the floor on this. When people saw Don King, go ahead and vouch for Donald Trump, or endorse Donald Trump, you have to keep in mind that was solely a business move because the U.S.A. is a corporation. And Don King and Donald Trump had previous business deals when they was bringing Tyson into so-called Atlantic City to do fights. So Don King was looking at it like, yo, you line my pockets with millions, I'll endorse you or I'll support you, you know what I mean, as a business favor. Because you got to keep in mind, all of this is corporate. All of it is corporate. You know what I mean? U.S.A. And the symbology of Atlantic City, etc. So, basically, again, when Don King came out and endorsed or supported Trump, that wasn't nothing necessarily sincere. That was a business favor, and I just say that, and I yield the floor for now. Islam, peace and love.
All right, Islam. All right, let's see. We got 44 minutes left to a live internet feed. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to open up the lines and we're going to start taking some calls. If you have a question, comment, concern, please press 1 on your telephone dial, and we're going to take the callers in the order that they appear. So our first caller is caller 570-926. You're live on the air. Please state your appellation and Northwestern accent. Caller 570-926. You're live on the air. All right. Caller 972-839. You're live on the air. Please state your appellation and Northwestern accent.
It's on, family. Once again, this is Abdul Malik Shakur Bey calling loud and clear on this so-called European takeover continues in Northwestern Michigan. I'm calling from the Texas territory. Islam, family. All praise due to our humble, illustrious, everlasting prophet, know you are lead. Give thanks to MHHS. What's up, Miss? Excuse me, ladies. That's my man. Yes, indeed. And Anna Neal, y'all bringing it tonight because guess what? They think they got a format going on right now, tonight. But guess what? It's under the mat. Imagine when the mat is removed. Just what I had on my mind. And I'm thinking everything, not only for tonight, that has been going on continuously. Allah stated, if my people, Moors and Moabites, which are called by my name, Al, Ali, Bey, El, and they will humble and turn, they humble themselves and turn from their wicked ways, I will hear from heaven, and I will forgive their sins, and I will heal their land. This is our problem. The mentality of a slave is from a steady diet of oppression and hypocrisy with a love truth strangely mixed. The free minds of the Moorish do not think like those who are mentally enslaved. the very processing of their audio and visual information is as far remote from each other as citizens and property. For example, the so-called Negro and colored folk and newly interacted African Americans has never been free. Therefore, it is impossible for he or she to think from the mode of freedom. At best, the most recycle their information back into their realm of psychic confinement. From this small nationless portal, they will have no national aspiration to offer their prosperity. Negro, blacks, and colors, and as I stated, newly branded African Americans proudly claim this process as their education. But since poverty cannot be educated for property because you are progeny and you are a portal for these Europeans to keep their process of enslavement to continue. We will call it exactly what it is. Now, I'm a be frank. Abdul Malik with Shakur Bey will call it as it is. Training. Train up a child in a way. Roof. Man, a kid. You understand? The problem from here is simply this. How one disseminates process information rests entirely upon their knowledge of self, humanity, and universal rights. Oh, let's stop there. Oh, I like what she's saying. I like what he's saying. But do you know who you are and what your foremothers and forefathers has stated and put into law, universal law? This is our land. They have written in the song, this is your land, this is my land. No. Stand up, Moor. Stand on your square. This is my land. This is Northwest American. I am the aboriginal of this land. Because when Calabo came over here and it stated the various copper-colored nations found on the continent of America, of Mexico, Alamo Rock, the West Gate. Enter in, if you please, but come in peace and come in understanding. But guess what? Because if you, the situation in your mind that you think have achieved, but guess what though? There's one that you cannot see that runs and rules everything, but it comes from the heart. Do you believe and do you know? For we are now in the age of Aquarius, and everyone must be accounted for by their own understanding. He and she who understand will raise themselves up and study to show thyself approved. Islam.
Islam.
Wow.
All right.
Indeed. Words of truth. Hey, just to keep the update, Hillary Clinton, it looked like she back in it. It's 190 to 201. She won California, so Trump is only up by 11 electoral votes. Just keeping the record while we're doing this. That's all. It's not.
All right, our next caller. Caller 929200. Islam, you're live on the air. Please state your appellation and Northwestern Mexico.
Islam. I'm from DX, Mexico. Did I say it right? I apologize if I'm messing it up. But
Northwestern Mexico, that's right.
Thank you, sister. I appreciate having the floor right now. And everything you hit on, the two major things that I really appreciate, sister, was about the children and about the housing. I appreciate that this whole thing right now, they want to take us and put us in what's called supportive housing. I mean, somebody comes to your house once a month and you report to an office. And in order to do that, you have to be on welfare or you have to be on SSI. And this is what's coming down the pike for everybody. You're no longer going to be a renter. And this is important. And as far as the kids are concerned, they are getting them from the grave right now. I hope you guys have listened to what Farrakhan just said. I don't follow him. Please forgive me for bringing him up. But he has brought something called VAX. And I also emailed you guys about this. I hope you pick it up. That it's a movie called VAX about how they are injecting our babies with these vaccines, especially our black boys. And what they're doing is once they become teenagers, they no longer can have babies because the what do you call it? The chemicals, and I want to name the chemicals because I'm not sure right now, but I just want to give the information. The chemicals are going to the man's sac, the boy's sac, and it's making them sterile. So this is what they're doing to us. It's coming from the vaccine. They've actually put a law in place that says that we are mandated to vaccine our children right now. That's what this pre-K thing is about, because they had to get them in a vacuum to get them into those schools, making them think education, and all the time they were busy trying to vaccine them and get all of these chemicals into their body. So now they can be docile, they can be messed up, and I have a teenager right now that's what they call vaccine injured. He's 17 years old. He's a very sweet child, but he has some things going on, and I vaccinated him one time. I did everything like they told me because I didn't know, but I know now that this boy is suffering from vaccine injury. The thing you said about the brain injuries, they're not falling down. When they go to the psychiatrist, he said, the neurons are not when the neurons are not firing properly. That's because they know it because they're giving them the vaccines to make sure they're not firing properly. That's what's going on. I don't know if you guys know about this, but this thing is aggravating me right now. It's really aggravating me. Go ahead, sister.
Well, yeah. Actually, you know what? It's really about, and it's a real bitter pill to swallow, and trust and believe this pill is being forced down the throats of the sisters because they're the ones that have to wake up. I'm not counting out the brothers, okay, because we always need the force behind us when we make a stand. But this big pill is for the sisters because they're the ones that are being forced to make change. You talked about the institution. You talked about you talked about the institution, period. All right. Under the institution, you have there what they call so-called schools, and you have what they call so-called hospitals or whatever that is. Number one, and I know when I say this to sisters, they're
sister. I'm not hurting all because I heard them.
That's all right. That's all right.
I got to
listen to you. But here's the thing, but there's other sisters listening. Because when you say, look, our children are not supposed to be in those institutions, immediately what comes after that is, well, where are they supposed to go?
I agree.
Well,
I agree.
You know what? We can't cover every area. That's why it is imperative that we have sisters that take the lead. That's why
I don't know what to do, but if I can know what to do, sister, I'm right there because let me explain to you. They're teenagers. I'm of age. I don't have no babies for them to shoot up no more. So my thought process is that's why I'm bringing it to the forefront because I know you guys are familiar with the law. Like I said, I did find out it is a law that's mandating for this to be done now. They just
all right, but here's the thing. No. That's not true. I know they're telling you that, but you cannot compel people to participate in the vaccination.
That's not what I'm doing. That's not.
No,
what
I'm not saying you. I'm not saying you are.
No,
I'm saying that this
never.
program, the program that they have coming down, is look. We have to look at everything in the context of what the prophet prophesied. All right. He said we would be forced to make change. All right.
Okay.
Now, what happens if we don't make change? The force is going to increase.
Okay.
And this is what is happening now. I can tell you from my own position, I have experienced this. My children are not babies anymore. But when I became aware of the negative effects of this so-called inoculation, because that's what they used to call it. They used to call it inoculation.
You're right. You're correct.
Today they call it vaccination. It sounds good, but it's inoculation. When I became aware of the fact, right, when I became aware of the fact that they were literally injecting the poison that they're supposed to be vaccinated, the whole purpose of their inoculation is to give you small doses, and this is real. If you go back, as prophet said, go back to our history. If you go back to the history, way back in the day that you became immune to poison, because poison was the way of solving all problems back in the day. Are you getting on my nerves? Get your little poison, you're not dead, you're no longer getting on my nerves, all right? That was the means of solving all problems back in the day. So now how did you become immune to the poison? Every day you took a small dose of the poison until after a certain time, if you got a dose of the poison, your body had built up immunities and it wouldn't affect you. This is the same premise that they are using with these various different inoculations. The problem is most of these problems are man-made, all right? That's number one. Well, actually, that's number two. Number one, the cure for anything is for us to go back to our diet that is harmonious to our body. Because I can tell you, if you go back on to the type of diet that we as a people, engaged in, you can be in the midst of a pandemic and it will not affect you. And I can attest to that because I changed my diet. I don't get cold. Everybody around me will have a cold, and I will not get a cold. People want to say, oh, well, I went out, I washed my hair and went outside and got a cold. You didn't get a cold because of that. I'm just saying.
We're very compromised. You're 100%
right.
You on point with everything. Everything. They don't even know it's one piece of fruit you could eat. That little piece of fruit will last you for the whole day and have all the nutrition, and the Africans know about it. They don't tell us nothing because we're not their people. So with that said, you are 100% correct, ma'am. 100%.
All right. So people will say, oh, well, my granddaddy had a cold and came over and gave me their cold. No, they didn't. You had all of the makings of a cold already in you. Mm-hmm. All right, because your body was contaminated or polluted or whatever, and I know it's kind of harsh to say, but look, the other thing is we don't know about healing. We're going to an institution called a hospital that has nothing to do with healing.
No record of curing. No record.
Nothing.
I wish somebody would. I'll give up.
It's not established for that. It's not established
I got you,
for that.
but I'm telling you, they want you to believe. You go to the doctor, and this will happen for you. You could get this cure. Or,
you know what? Let me tell you. You know what? Annie, you're going in on what's correct, but I think what the sis is missing that you said is that when she said that they're making this law where you have to do this and you have to do that, you started to explain to her that that they're saying you have to do what and eat, and what we're telling you is no, you do not have to do that.
That's right.
That's right. And you got to know
Look,
that you don't have to do that.
People.
No, but I understand what you guys are saying. I'm not saying that. That's why I'm bringing it to you guys, because I know y'all know how to decipher not to do it. But I'm just explaining to you what's being told to us.
Oh, yeah. All right.
Before everything.
Let me finish.
Let me just finish. Let me just say what I was saying to get my point, that so you can come back correctly for me. I was just saying what they're saying. I'm not saying we have to do it. That's not what I'm saying. I'm just saying what the public is being told and how it's being brought to us. And there is ways around it. If you come and, if that comes your way, it is ways around it. They're not going to tell you that, but it is ways around it. That I didn't get to that.
So
but
you're
I just
saying what you're saying is you want to warn the people.
Yes.
The mothers. Look, you better. What you're saying is really the same in concert. You better wake up and you better make some changes quick, because this is what's coming down the line. Those who have been
I have the evidence of what happened. I have it. I just experienced it. And guess what happened? Then they brought in the police. They brought in, they arrested him, my son. They arrested him. They didn't take him to try to get him services. No, ACS had to come in for that. And I told them, matter of fact, he don't live here, so y'all could go ahead. And when I did that, they got mad. Then I placed him with a family member. They got mad because I controlled everything from here. You can't tell me. I never let them in my house. I never, you know what I'm saying, I made the lady make an appointment. What you want? She explained to me what I did, what she claimed I did, and they ran with that. They were outside in the hallway talking my private business, and I was like, whoa. They only knew I was standing right here listening to them. They were saying what the report, because it's not a charge, it's a report. So everybody needs to know it's not a charge, it's a report. And I asked her, I said, what is the problem? Like, you were aggressive, and something else she said. I put him out. No, I didn't put him out. He knew he had better get the heck out. That's all I'm going to say. I said, what he did in my house. What I want y'all to know, I'm a black mother, okay? Just put it right there. But anyway, what I'm saying to is after I calmed down with, what happened, and I start reading the information, I realized what happened to my baby. And what I really got because I was beating myself up, and I said, well, girl, if you didn't do all the stuff you did and listen to them for services, he wouldn't be half of what he is now. So just be happy for what you did and don't beat yourself up because what they saying. Think about what you did, because this boy wouldn't sit up. I got to find out when he got those shots, because I remember the milestones that weren't happening. Mama wasn't happening. I made him sit up. He wasn't talking. We wouldn't talk to him, and we corrected him in a way that he started talking. By the time the therapist, the voice lady came, he was reading her book. Okay, this boy can, he makes, mace the animals. He's in tune with nature. I've never seen a child from the city so in tune with nature. You can't tell me he has an aptitude. They want to do the IEP. Oh, he came back at 10 years old with 120-something aptitude, and the Marine is 141, full-grown man. So what are y'all telling me? They want an IEP. You ain't doing none of that, because that tells them that you do not know about your child. So do not let them IEP your child. That's the next step. They have hired, doubled up on the social workers in the school and the psychiatry. All doubled up in the school. Actually have clinics in the school now that they want the parents to sign, so you don't have to take them to the regular doctor. You can take them to the school doctor.
Wow.
I'm telling y'all something. What's going on right now? I'm in tune with the whole. The lady came to me and she said, oh, we want to, in case he plays ball, he might fall down. So you just sign this. I said, sweetheart, I have a doctor. He has coverage. We're fine. We don't need that. Let me ask you a question. If he falls in here, y'all not going to call an ambulance for him? She was like, yes. I said, so he'll be fine. It's the same thing anywhere else he's at. What are you telling me? Oh, well, this is just extra protection. I don't need it. I'm good. I'm good. As long as the ambulance come pick him up. Will you understand what I'm saying? What more is that place up there going to do for him?
Well, that is exactly, look, what you're saying is not at all surprising, all right? And this is why I personally I'm not even going to try and lie. I personally will go harder on the son. Yes, and Eve said it. I go harder on the son because the son in their marketing strategy is the target audience. They go after the son.
I got a letter statement. It's a letter on the internet that says they're going after our boys. They're coming in the locker rooms. They're going to make them gay. It's a letter on the internet.
All right, but see, all of this is not new. All of this is not new. And all of this goes back to mother waking up, all right? Because first of all, see, and I go hard on, the reason I go hard on the sons is because I want the sons to think before they do. I know it's a challenge because y'all are doers, but y'all need to think before you do, because they push your buttons because they want you to say or do something so that they snatch you up. All right, and that's why you gotta think. I know that every fiber of you wants to do, but you gotta rein it in right now. You gotta rein it in, and you gotta think, how is this going to affect me tomorrow? You gotta think, how is this going to affect my family and the people who love me tomorrow? If it's not going to affect them in a positive way, you got to figure out an alternative. And look, all of this, oh, you've been punked, you need to let that go, because that is also part of the strategy. Because I know no son out there who is going to sit back and let somebody tell him, you just got punked, and don't retaliate. That is all part of the plan. That's a setup. You got to understand it is a setup, and you have got to, with consciousness, decide not to participate for the good of the family. Now, to the sisters got to wake up, all right? Because the sons wouldn't be in this position if they had woken up and trained those babies while they was in the womb. All right, so the sisters got to wake up. The sisters got to wake up. They got to get this information.
Let me tell you something about that. It's funny you said that. My son, when I went to, go to like the 3-month visit or whatever, white doctor gonna tell me, oh, my daughter's, the baby, she might needed a nap, so she was kind of cranky and she might was falling out a little bit because she was a very good baby. But I'm pregnant with this one, and the doctor says to me, oh, I think you should have an abortion. Excuse me? I didn't ask for your unsolicited advice. And matter of fact, I'm going to explain this to you right now. He might be the president, okay? So I'm not going to abort him just because you said that, and I'm going to make sure that I deliver him. And she delivered him. Yeah, she delivered him. So just to tell you how they operate, I've heard them. When you tell them you black and you're pregnant, that's the first, oh, you should just get an abortion. We're going to give you the abortion. They immediately tell these women. These poor women don't know what to do. They might be in a situation where they can't even tell they're pregnant or what's going on. Now you tell them the first thing, get an abortion. They don't even know. Their head is screwed. I don't know how you was when you was pregnant, but I know how I was when I was pregnant. And my head was all over the place. You need your husband there to, comfort you, to guide you through. And if you ain't got that going on, you in trouble. You understand what I'm saying? This is what women don't understand. Stop running that man off because you need him there. And this is what the real problem is. And once we, with our thick heads, get that going on, our poor babies and our sons will be all right because we need that man. I don't care what none of these says. They can talk about that job and all that, but I can tell you one thing. When that job ain't there no more, they ain't got no man, then what they going to do? Now they got to get on welfare.
I'm not clear what you're saying. I'm not clear what you're saying.
What I'm saying right now is that the fact of the how they have things set up for young women that get pregnant and might have different circumstances where they can't talk. Maybe they have no one to talk to, they have no family members, or whoever they do, they sure can't go home and say, oh, I'm pregnant, because they don't have the finances to take care of the child. The hospitals are immediately telling them, have an abortion on top of them having whatever economical or social problems that they might already have. They're being bombarded immediately with this. And it's been done from 10, 15 years ago that I know.
Here's the thing. See, the part of the sisters must wake up is is the portion of family planning. All right, because see, women today, they're haphazardly getting pregnant with absolutely zero thought, because they have been mentally conditioned to get into situations, feel good sensations, all right? Not for anything of a planned nature. So part of the Sisters Got to Wake Up entails family planning, all right? Part of the Sisters Got to Wake Up is, look, this is not about you hooking up with a mate. This is about you finding yourself for yourself and our future generation, because the future generation is going to come out of your womb, because you came here with those eggs, and those eggs will come out one way or another. The portion, you know, you got the beginning, you got the end. What they need to be focused on is what's happening in the middle. What am I doing to enlighten myself? What am I doing to find myself? Do I know myself? Do I know who I am? Do I know what my personal life is? Do I know what parts of me I am here through, you know, whatever comes my way, that I am here to grow stronger through or from or for? You know, people are not here to have good sex or a good time or get a good job or have good stuff. That's not what you're here for. You are here to find yourself. That's what you're here
and have a family. And I can truly say I never had teenage pregnancy on my mom. I never, brought men home and had them call in her house like these women do.
But none of that matters. None of that matters.
No, but I'm not saying that. I'm not saying that it matters. I'm saying to you that is part of family planning, that you not bringing John, Dick, and Harry home. That's what I'm saying.
Well,
when you talk about family planning, you can go into the ethical part of it. You can go into the ethical part, but I'm talking about what women in this time and age are thinking, and how what they call it, the hookup or whatever. You know, that's what I'm talking about. You know, and that needs to be
right. But see, I know, but see, you can just turn on the TV and you can see where the sisters' minds are today. And I'm saying that the sisters need to get, first of all, Asiatic people on the whole need to turn off the modern European media
I don't
programming.
I don't look at it.
I'm just saying. It might not be you, but people need to recognize that when you turn that TV on, you're watching modern European programming. All right? That's not us. That's not our history. That's not our culture. That's not our heritage. So we need to not be participating in it, because that's all that's doing is mentally conditioning you, desensitizing you and your children, anybody who's watching that. It is desensitizing and mentally conditioning you. That's not our history. That's not our heritage. That's not our legacy that our ancestors left us. So we need to let that go. And then we need to go back to the mindset of our foremothers and our forefathers and find out what we are supposed to be continuing. But, sister, we got to take our next caller, but I thank you so much.
It's okay. I appreciate you guys, too. No, I appreciate it. I'm going to try to make it to you guys, and maybe you'll get to meet me. I'll remind you of my question. I'm quite sure y'all remember me. So I hope one day I get to meet you guys. I really appreciate you taking my question. All right. You have a nice, and I give the floor up. Thank you so much.
All righty. All right. Before I take the next caller, I just want to reiterate, because there was something that was mentioned by the sister that, you know, they were going to be their agenda is to compel the people into doing something. And I can tell you from my own experience, this is why you have to know the law. all right, because nobody can compel you to do anything. This is why you need to know the law so that when these things are coming at you, you already have the necessary information to repel it, all right? There was talk about compelling people to do immunizations. Nobody can compel you to participate in the inoculation process. Nobody can do that, and that's already case law. Actually, before there was case law, there was the American Constitution. These inoculations are created by corporations. Those corporations are creating them for profit and gain, all right? Profit and gain. The mere fact that they are a corporation ought to tell the people that you can't compel me to do jack. That's a violation of my constitutional treaty-secured liberty, all right? So how as a Moor, really, Muslim, what is your protection? First Bill of Rights, religious freedom, all right? It's against your religion to be inoculated. That's it. End of discussion. And don't let them trick you into, oh, I've never heard of that. Can you tell me a little bit about it? That's a trap. It's none of their business. Now, I can tell you from my experience, and I believe 100% it's all about the energy, because every time that I have said, either for myself or my children, that's against our religion, no one has ever put on the little sugar sweet smile and said, oh, can you tell me about that? No, that has never happened to me. What has happened to me is as soon as I either told them it was against my religion or they asked, does that have to do with your religion? The result was always the same. They backed up 3 paces and never discussed it again. I'm not here to educate people who put themselves in a position of law. That's not my job. If you are telling me that I have to do something, then you better have the law to back it up, and it ain't my job to give it to you. Islam?
Islam to that. And really what you're saying, even though we can say, look, the corporations are creating that, and corporations have no parity with the flesh and blood being, but we can just make it simple like you just did. It's against my religion, that's it. And we can also make it even more simpler by just saying, look, people, enforce the Constitution. That's why the prophet said it. Enforce it, because in it, that's where those protections against these violations and compelling you to do something. We understand that you think that's government. It's not. It's their corporation and not your government. But they're doing it because they know you don't know that, and they're trying to keep you subject and citizens of their corporations, called whatever state it is, under a quasi-national domicile. So common sense to get you to thinking that can't be for you. And there's all types of facts of law that support it, but the Constitution is really all you need. Islam.
That's right, Islam. All right. So let's take our next thing.
One last thing, E, because some people are thinking, well, they're going to suspend the Constitution. No, they're not, because they can't. So martial law that everybody's talking about, when are we going to understand that's not for us either?
Exactly. And you know what? I just want to say another thing, because Ms. had mentioned something about what's his name, Trump, talking about he's going to suspend some law. All right.
Yeah, that's what type of
law. Really, as the president of the United States of America, you have no power to suspend anything. Right? This is why people need to read the Constitution, okay? All right? Because as the President of the United States of America, Obama, Trump, Hillary,
whoever sitting in that seat, the only authority you have is to administer the law that has been written. But you don't write the law. And look, they write these executive orders, right? And everybody runs after the executive orders, and they be, oh, wow, executive order, this, that, and the other. But you know what? By the very title, it's telling you what part of the three branches it functions under, right? Just like a statute. Executive orders and statutes are the same thing. All right? I'm going to say it again. Executive orders and statutes are the same thing. They are the administrative portion of the law, but they are not the law. So if there is an executive order, the question that needs to be asked, just like a statute is, what is the law that this is administering? Hello?
Right, show that law. Show it.
That's right. Everybody's running around and statute this. Look, you got Moors running around talking about hurt statute. All right, the prophet established a municipal corporation under the hurt statute. Well, what law is the hurt statute administering?
Yeah, the record.
What law? I can tell you, because I done studied the law. The hurt statute, only for corporations now, and modern Europeans, is administering the first Bill of Rights, your religious freedom.
Hello?
All right? So the prophet who told you to enforce the Constitution put together an affidavit based on law and the first Bill of Rights.
Right. And what else did he say? He says, declare your nationality and your religion. That's why he said it. Because, oh, man, it's crazy. But they think he created a municipal domicile when the municipal domicile, by its very definition, is a Roman venue. So lack of study and comprehending of what was done. Well, actually, it's lack of studying the Constitution.
Yeah.
Minimally, so that you can recognize these things.
Yep.
Yeah. I would say based off of this, I'm just saying everything y'all saying is right and exact, just an update. It look like Trump about to be the next U.S.A. president. That's what it's looking like. So,
all right.
So good luck to you modern Europeans, boy, because he's going to have a hell of a time trying to engage in international affairs with our family around the world, because they already got him on the hit list. They done already said that they will not do business with the United States of America if Trump is the CEO.
Because it absolutely exposes it. But isn't that more of the reason why we need to wake up? Because if he can't, and if they can't do business with others, right, on the planet, right, then they are really going to put the noose on all of the natural people that are running around calling themselves something other than honoring.
That's what I'm saying as far as the people being prepared at this particular point. I think their position is they don't care. You know what I mean? Like, that's where they're at with it. They're like, we don't care at this particular point, which makes it like, okay, yeah, so they won't be able to do business with certain people. Do they care, though, is the question. I think not.
Well,
you know what I mean? Like, they're like, let's get it on. Let's get it in.
Well, no.
That's what time it is.
No.
All right.
See, and I'll tell you, when I go back and I look at, in 1929, when their market crashed, what happened was you had a whole lot of modern Europeans jumping out windows, killing their damn full self. The reason they were killing themselves is not because they were financially broke. It was because they were out of the game. See, these people, they don't get into, we don't comprehend this. These people, they don't get into this thing. And I learned this. I saw this because I worked at a major corporation. And I watched them write off millions of dollars credit. Yeah. And I'm wondering, well, how are they staying afloat? How are they continuing to engage in business? Because, see, to us who've never been in that position, we think in terms of pension pennies. Now, you may not in reality be pension pennies, but that's the way you think. You think in terms of pension pennies. These people don't think in terms of pension pennies, which is why writing off $1 million is no sweat as long as they remain in the game. All right? That's why they can be in the red and don't sweat it, because they're still in the game. And so when people were jumping out of windows, they weren't jumping out of windows because they were broke. Trump is a prime example of that. The man has filed bankruptcy several times, but he ain't killed himself because he's still in the game. But if he is no longer able to play the game, he will kill himself. Because for them, there's no more reason to live. If I can't play the game, win or lose, what's the point of living? All right? So that's how they look at things. But we're never at that level, mentally or anyway. So we don't see it that way. But that's the way they play this particular game. And for them, it's nothing to sell out family members, because it's all about being able to stay in the game. And so when we look at things, we have to look at it from that perspective. That's how they behave. That's their MO. You know, that's like you okay, this is the snake, and the snake's bite, and you just need to see them for who they are. Stop trying to make them into something that they're not. But they're going to continue to play this game, all right? Because that's how they're wired for that. They're wired for that. They are playing their part, and they're going to continue to play their part, because we don't do nothing the easy way. All right? We gotta damn near stare death in the face before we turn around. So they're going to play their role. And thank you very much for playing your role, because we need people to get that knife, that point of the sword in their backside, so that they can make that change. And guess what? They're going to do their job so well that you feel the point very clearly. And so, yeah, thank you very much for doing your job. So let's take our next caller. Caller 252-377. You are live on the air. Please state your appellation at Northwest Maximum.
Islam. This is RVBey.
And this is Roland T-Bay.
We're in Northwest Maxim.
Nonsense.
Thank you. You all been such an inspiration. Oh my goodness. Recently, my brother RVBey got some national cards, and we're a witness to what, you have to be. It has to be inside you. It has to be in your soul to know who you are.
Yes.
And this Friday was a prime example for us. We were surrounded by policy enforcers, evidently, I don't. They want one of the guys, the main one, said he either opened the door. He assumed we were 14th Amendment citizens. He said, open the door, or I'm gonna drag my brother out. And I said, we are Moorish American nationals. And he opened the door. And actually, we didn't know the door was unlocked. But he told us to pull down the window. We didn't do it. We had already had it cracked. And he opened the door, and he asked for his license. And we said, we're not 14th Amendment citizens. We are not U.S. citizens. We are traveling, and it ended up my brother showed his traveling card, and they went like in the corner, like to talk among themselves, like this is a bay, and before you know, there were like a lot of them out there, and I'm on now the whole time I'm on 911. It's such a small town, and they colonized so long that they really, it's like, oh no, here go a threat. And they sent out two alleged, deputy sheriffs. And one of them was, I asked him, he said, I'm African American. And so I heard one of the European deputy, alleged deputy, say, I'm not ready to take it out to a bay. But all in all, they end up trying to scare us up and all these things. They wanted. I have my children. My youngest is 6. I'm 45, and we all was traveling, and they end up taking my brother, kidnapping him and put him into the car, trying to separate us and ask 1,001 questions, and we stayed on the law. And so they needed all what they thought was 14th Amendment property and their conveyance, okay? And they end up taking our conveyance because that was our, boom, but at the same token, because there was a revoked plate up there. And going into it, I'm going to have to fight from the fact that it's private law. And it's, and they're a corporation. But at the same token, it seemed a lot of them started backing off. The alleged European deputy said, why are so many coming here? Stop it. You're making a scene. It was at we saw the lights, emergency lights come on, and we stopped at like a gas station, like in front of people, and so and we told them we're from exactly Northwest of Mexico, and we're in North Carolina territory, and so I'm saying it kind of fast, but it was a lot more and more stressful. But it ended up a family had to come get us, and they wanted property for sure. And instead, no ticket. They didn't write a ticket. They didn't write a nothing for court. The guy tried to attach Roland Bay to who they saw on who might have been part of that conveyance. Who was on top of the plate, the plastic. I said, you can have the plastic. The title. And I said, look, you can have the plastic, but this conveyance is a laudium. And so I said, you're assuming. So, it turned out they ended up getting it. And they told the guy at the auto body shop who came and got it that do not let them have it until they get license, insurance, and registration, and all this other crap. And so, and it turned out the sheriff, he hid it that whole time, and the next day and the next day. But, most of all, we knew what we could have avoided. But at the same token, they were using color of law, period. But we stood on our square, and it's just the chief or the alleged chief, they're trying to get me to talk to him, and he and I need to talk to the sheriff. And so I don't, Ritz, I just, and then the guy says to me at the auto body shop that, oh no, the so-called chief, or he said chief, the authority said that if I let this out, then I'm going to have to be responsible for it. That kind of, redneck talk.
Well, what you're saying then is that because of the tags that were on there, they were expired or not good or whatever.
No insurance, Yes.
Yeah, they were using that to claim the property.
Right.
So, in essence, without those tags, that's what it's really coming to, that Moors would have to travel without those things that are attached to them.
Right.
Because for instance, some will, even when people were selling or making a bill of sale over to, from whoever you say you could buy the conveyance from, and then you make the bill of sale out to yourself as a Moor, and you have the bill of sale, what they do is they go by the last owner of record or the title that was already in their records. And so then they'll act like, well, this car must be stolen because the last title holder, so-called title holder, in their records was whoever sold it to you. But if you don't go and title it through the DMV, but you have a bill of sale showing that the last person who bought it sold it to you, they make you go through all that if you don't have that, if you don't have that on you or with you or whatever. And if you have the tags on, or they take the VIN number and they will run it back to their record. So it would have to be something
they
put
saw,
in.
They saw a face that looked like Roland Beck. Yeah. But it was a Christian name.
Right.
And they tried to run that game.
Right.
But, you sure look like this one. No. Never was. Never was a corporation. So, yeah, they ran that game. And I'm saying that no one, I'm telling you, they wanted all property that they thought was Negro, black, and colored. Anybody that's walking around and not nationalized need to really think, because something shook them up. And let me tell you, I'm not finished. I still have a lot to learn. Don't get me wrong. And I'm angry. But at the same token, I'm so glad. It could have been so much worse, because they were threatening, and I'm telling you, at the time, I don't know what was it, but no fear. No fear. Because, they were like, I know I'm an officer. No, you're not. No, you're not. I had to do a little history at the time, So I can't. That's our only conveyance, and they'll do whatever to stop, because they shut off the water, they turned off the light, they shut it off in U.S. Corporation. We turned it back on in Morocco. They shut off the lights in U.S. Corporation. We turned it back on in Morocco.
Yeah.
So, and come to find out, with the land, there was, it turned out to be not 1 acre, but over 80 acres. And so we got a lot to do. And we are doing a lot better knowing the truth and having things that are so worldly, without the worldly. We never been, into that anyway. But it's so much. I've never been into any reality show. So, just a little fun on the side if I want to do a little something with my cousin or whatever. But no, I've never been into that because I thought that their brains were strong. And when I realized about the nationality and Moors and everything, that just clicked. And it's just been, I'm trying to understand. Then once you keep going, understanding about what Noble Prophet Drew Ali, honors. And, again, and also we really do need help. We need help. But we know a lot more than, it's just that, I don't know, something just come over us. And it's like, how dare you? I mean, they were arrogant. They were like, but I remember that we all heard we recorded some of it, all the conversations that we, because the sheriff, he's just still avoiding. And you can't contact the governor, and they're sitting there going, well, it's $275 in their storage fee. And I'm like, well, if this corporation is connected to the policy enforcer corporation, then you know what? They ought to be sued too. Welcome to the police pound or the body shop. You can put anything. I don't even want that conveyance. I just want to get rid of it and get another one just because their hands were all over it. I don't know what they're friends. And it's a very small town. This place, the territory is small. They're going to try to make you a 14th Amendment citizen with some statute and ordinance. But I yield the floor.
Well, whatever statute, tell them to, as Annie said earlier, what law is that statute administering? And then you'll find that it's not.
I ran it, and now I just have to do the paper trail, get that going, and knowing it's like one of those, they know who you are, and the chief is just the alleged chief is just really, I mean, the arrogance, but that sheriff now. I don't, even the magistrate said, you mean to tell me you didn't get, anything? He did leave a pink piece of paper with the title to the revoked license plate. And it read, just surrendering the tag to them with no signatures except for his, thing else, no numbers, just like, well, we're going to get something out of y'all. And we assume this. And I'm not being, foolish, but I am fighting for that. I'm fighting for it because once they start there, they'll keep on going with something else. And I haven't heard of any, something to, because you'll get stopped. Even if when you're national and you have someone conveyance that has tags on it, they still assume that you're, them. They're chattel.
Well, yeah. Because really, the tags and the driver's license instrument is really for those who are doing commerce. And
right.
More is your right to travel. They're travel rights. So if you say, well, I'm driving, then you're doing commerce because that's the term for it. So when they assume that you're doing that, then you're under the jurisdiction of of that federal. It's really a federal program, as Anthony had explained to people before. But so they make that assumption, and that's what you're doing. So you just have to make your situation real clear. And so we've been. I have your email, I think, Barb, and maybe I can send you some stuff on the email tomorrow.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
We love you, and we'll appreciate you, and thank you so much.
Islam.
All right.
All right, Islam. All right, and our next caller is caller 415-941. You're live on the air. Please state your appellation at Northwest of Maxim.
Islam, peace and love. This is Amala, and I'm calling from Northwest of Maxim, and I am in the New Jersey territory. Please pardon. Yes.
Peace and love, Sister Amala.
Yes, Islam.
Peace and love. Is that Roz?
Yes.
Please forgive me, because you and Annie E, y'all know y'all sound alike to me, so I was straining listening. Who's speaking now? I couldn't even tell, but it's all good. No, I just want to say that I humbly enjoyed this conversation. It definitely made my day, in terms of everything, my brother sharing in, the little bit of information about, this so-called administrative presidency or what have you. However, I do want to make a point really quick about, as far as mindset goes, there was a sister on the line, I don't remember her name, but she talked about a couple of things that I'm, fully educated on, which was, raising a son who's now having some situations with being vaccinated and different things about IEP, the school system. I am a certified school social worker and have worked in many, companies, in the New Jersey area. I also have certifications in parent education, and I am a doula, which Roz was saying. And I do want to say that one of the things that I do in my line of work is empowerment and coaching. And I work with a variety of women because it's really about the mindset of the woman. If she knows who she is, if she knows where she comes from, and standing on her square in that essence of who she is. So basically, my point is this: with all of the different things that you address, beloved, some of the points were really good because these conversations need to be spoken of. However, we don't want to waste a lot of time talking about what everybody else is doing. We just need to know what we need to do and do it. And so that is, when it comes to vaccinations like Roz or Annie Eat, I'm not sure which one of them was speaking, but it's simple. When you know what you know, can't nobody tell you anything differently. And I say that from experience. I'm a mother of 5 natural births. And when I knew what I knew, from different people like, Queen Afua, Dr. Lalela Africa, Dr. Sabi, my mama, my mother's mama. When you know certain things, can't nobody tell you differently. And so for myself, in coming into my awareness of knowing who I am and where I come from, I've been able to stand on my square and not allowing any foreign or any outside entities to tell me anything different about myself, my body, or what I'm supposed to do with my offspring. I'm 35 now, okay, chronologically, but I'm an old soul. I've been here before. And so I say that to say that we are today who our ancestors were. And when you know that and you resonate with that, then you know that where we are today is not who we were, and how we did things. So when it comes to giving birth, we have to get at our sisters. And it's about posture and mindset. We have to do better. And a lot of sisters are out there waking up. I know myself because I get phone calls now and emails every day. Amala, I heard about, you giving birth naturally and you're a doula. What can I do differently? They want to. A lot of us wasn't given those tools, or a lot of us were, like you said, railroaded at an early age into certain things. And so we felt like we had no other choice. But today is a new day. Today is a different day, and that we do have the resources, that there are women out there who know better, and we're doing better, and we're here to extend our help and support to sisters like yourself. because there's so many things that you, my sister, along with other women who have vaccinated their children and as a result are having some concerns and some issues. And the one thing that I will say to all my sisters that's standing on the line, start getting into who you are. And one of the things that you could start doing is eating right, going green, alkaline water, changing your diet. Because when you change the way you eat, you change the way you think. And as a result of changing the way you think, you change the way you make decisions. And that's where it begins. That's where it began for me. That was my journey about 17 years ago, is when I started to look at, wait a minute, all of the, what you mean, honey? All of the foods that I was eating was tearing away at me slowly but surely. And the moment I changed my diet, the moment I began doing that, there was a great awakening. And it helped to make me who I am today. So I did want to share that with you. I can go into depth about all that IEP stuff. That's nothing new. They've been doing that. They've been, tailoring their services, i.e. commerce, geared towards. All right, go ahead. All right, go ahead. This, by the way, this is baby Empress. She's 16 months, and she's teething right now, so she wants to nurse. But that's why y'all hear her in the background. So it's nothing new under the sun. They just disguise it with different words, different colors, different things. But we have to be in the knowing. So we have to know that this stuff is going to continue to come. But as long as we are prepared and unafraid, unapologetically ready to defend and command what we want and how we're going to do things for ourselves, and that's just really important. So just want to make sure, because I try to hold in all of this stuff, while you were speaking, and y'all, there's been several conversations being jumped. The other thing is, when you do know a sister who is now ready to give birth, because the situation that you've been in, the best thing to do is advocate for natural birth, home birth, water birth, get information, about what you're going through and use it to empower, other sisters. Start working in your community, in your areas, and because they need to hear your story. I'll come from a strength-based perspective in that I like to share, good things rather than so-called negative things, because people like to hear good stuff. When you have positive and great outcomes, that empowers them to want to gravitate to that, to what you're doing, as opposed to a lot of times we, share not so good things. But IEPs, all of those things is nothing new. It's all about mindset. It's all about your posture, and just who you are. And trying to think what else, because I did a presentation with Roz and Annie E. With Sisters Standing Up, right? Sisters Standing on Law, where we did a 3-week workshop, on women and empowering them and giving birth and everything. So if you haven't gotten a chance to take a look at that, or if they have it, you might want to go back and look at it and then pass that along to some other sisters. You really made some good points, but I also want to say to you as well, just from one sister to another, be more optimistic, and I know Roz or Annie E., they were building with you, and I know a lot of times that you were so eager to say, no, not me, no, not me, and I don't do these things. See, the thing about it is we just make up a smaller portion, just yourself. You know what I mean? But this is about all of us. While you may not have that experience, there are other people out there who may have and know someone. You know what I mean? So I think that when the sister was really extending the information to you, she was really striving to be optimistic in her answer and just not necessarily saying yourself, but just speaking from a woman's perspective in terms of what she knows and what she's experienced and what she's lived, So that's it. If you have any questions, you can always connect with me with Roz and Annie E. They know how to reach out to me, and I'm all around. All you got to do is, Google Amala, and you'll find me. And I'm always here to answer your questions, because my purpose and my duty is to advance myself first. I don't share anything that I don't live. I don't share anything that I don't utilize for myself. So with that being said, I'm here to support you and any other sister who may have some questions in any way that I can assist you. I'm on my dean, and I'm on my job, and I need some help. Annie, Eden, and Rod, they need more sisters that know the law, that want to know, that want to help uplift other sisters, because it starts with us. Like she said, the eggs that we have are going to come forward, and we have to be in alignment. You know what I'm saying? Mind, body, soul, and spirit. We have to really get ourselves aligned in the best way we can so we can bring forth highly intellectual Asiatic builders, for the next wave of what we need to do here and today. So with that, I'm going to yield the floor and say peace to everyone, and thank you for having me on the call.
All right. That was well said. Well said.
Peace and love.
Peace and love.
And Eda, are you there?
Yes, can you hear me?
No, I'm saying Anna E. She's got the line, so she might be talking without the mic on or something. Let me see.
Oh, all right.
All right. Well, let's see. Do we have? Let's see.
Yeah, she was talking without the mic, so she wanted to thank Sister Amala for that great information she just shared.
Yes.
Yep.
Yes. And let's see. We don't have any more callers unless there's someone who have a question or comment or concern they'd like to pose. Press 1 on your telephone dial up, and here we have somebody. Caller 352-509, you're live on the air. Please state your appellation at Northwestern Exum.
Islam family, this is Zamiel Bey at Northwestern Exum. Wonderful bill. Family, as always, y'all on point. And I agree 100%, Brother Miz. I feel you as usual. Wow. But as the Prophet told us, reflection is the business of man. And just reflecting back, I remember when Obama was running for the presidential seat, and there was a debate. This was before I came into the knowledge of Moorish science proper. And I was upset because he was asked a question about reparations, and he affirmatively said that we did not deserve reparations. But I went back and revisited that debate, and he was dropping some heavy jewels of knowledge for us as a people. And he took us back to South Carolina, which is a key reference point for those of us who know, because it was from South Carolina that we get the 1789 Sundry Free Moors Act. He took us back to the Civil War, which is another key historical point for us as Moors. It was through Obama that we got the 2011 Rights of Indigenous People, which is another key reference point for us as Moors. And I revisited an interview that he recently did with Bill Maher, and he was saying that one of the things that people needed to do was engage in critical thinking. And that is another key reference point for us as Moors, because the Prophet said, if I could get you to think, you will free yourselves. So I was forced to ask myself some questions. I'd like to pass this on to the family just to kind of get our wheels turning, so to speak. Where did the Civil War end? The Civil War ended, according to their records, at Appomattox Courthouse. According to their records, the terms of surrender for the South was drafted by a Moor. This is according to their records. So all of these are key reference points that we can use in the here and now as reference points, so that we won't be lost and we won't be confused by what we're seeing that's going on around us. You know, Trump is doing what he does, and if we're able to see with another eye, we can see, you know, with the red that he's wearing, the energy that's associated with Mars, with energy, the war energy with the so-called elections being on a Tuesday, we're again tapping into that energy. This being actually the 44th president, 4 plus 4 being 8, 8 being the house of Scorpio, which CM Bay tells us relates to the fall of nations. I mean, yeah, it's the best of times, but it's also the worst of times. But it's where are we mentally? You know, where are our reference points? And just again, as Mother Roz has told us, knowledge is power, information is source. And as Mother Annie E said at the top of the programming, this is about information sharing, and there is no weapon that is more powerful than truth. There's no bullet, no bomb, no nothing that will stop truth. So we should be flooding the information. We have access to mass media. We should be studying, and putting out so much information. As the prophet said, we shovel ourselves from under this avalanche of lies that is let loose upon us annually. We can go and do the research and see where they themselves admit that they, the U.S., U.S., has a patent for Ebola. Now, I may not be the sharpest tool in the box, but I know that you don't get a patent for something unless you created it. But we have got to make connections historically and return to that frame of mind and be able to connect the dots and see what's really going on. We talk about the stock market, they crashed in 1929, but if we go back and historically see what was going on during that time, there was a turmoil across the Great Atlantis in what we now know as the London Corporation. Where if we bring fast forward to where we are now, we see that there's the Brexit going on and people wanting to break up the European Union. And we've got to make the connection so that we can see what's really going on and not be confused, because it's time. And it's time for us to be honest with ourselves. We have been denationalized. We are down, but when everybody who is down decides to get up on knowledge, as the prophet say, it's a breakfast fight. It's over. So, Islam family, Moors, study. Sisters, please wake up. We need y'all. Sons, yeah, we're ready to take up posts, but hey, we need the mothers to do what y'all do, and we ready. Whenever y'all are, let's do this. Islam family.
Islam. That was great. That was good. Yes. Absolutely. Oh, and by the way, he said the lies that will be heaped upon us daily, not annually. Well, you can say annually, but he said daily. That's coming. Already been here, really. So Miss, what's the score on the vote on the
Oh, let me go back to this. My fault. I kind of just. Honestly, I went off of it. Trump about to win this. That's just the bottom line. Like, yeah, Trump is about to win this. Clinton is at 209. Trump is at 244. And they got to get to 270 to win. At the most, Hillary, all she can win now is about is about 20 more votes, meaning that her points are not really going to go past 229, meaning she's not going to win this election. And Trump has the possibility to collect 21. Yeah, Trump is about to win this. 36, 56. Trump could grab up 54 more points. And at the most, Clinton can only grab up another 20-something. So,
well, is it possible that he can't reach the numbers that he needs to reach? Is that a possibility? And she don't reach him either?
Nah, that's not possible.
That can't happen in the math. Okay, right.
Nah, it's possible they could tie, and then they would have to push the election back to December, but that's not going to happen. Like, it's not going to be a tie. Like, according to these numbers, you know what I mean? Trump is about to win this no matter what else Hillary wins. Like, from what it's looking like, she's only going to win 3 more quasi-national domiciles, which would be 6 electoral votes in Nevada. For Nevada, another 10 electoral votes for Minnesota, and another 4 electoral votes for Maine. Trump, he could collect 11 electoral votes for Arizona. He could collect 10, and it's looking like he is, because he's like 90-something thousand more votes ahead of Hillary. I doubt she's going to come back from that for Wisconsin. So meaning right now, Trump has 1,199,000 votes for Wisconsin. As they're reporting it, he has 1,199,000 votes. Out of all of those votes, all that means is for him to win, the only way he could do it is through 10 electoral votes. So the bottom line is it doesn't matter how many people actually voted. That's not what gets you the win. It's the electoral vote, or the electoral votes. So out of all of those people, it comes down to 10 votes, which, he's up by 4%, which is a lot, And then Michigan, that's another 16 votes. They're kind of close, but I doubt Hillary gets another 23,000 votes, by the time tallying up is done. So, look like Trump going to win Michigan. Oh, snap. Yeah, it's a wrap. Yeah, it's about a wrap. Trump just stole Pennsylvania. It's not done. Like Hillary was leading Pennsylvania all night, but Trump in Pennsylvania is up by 3,000. He just took the lead in Pennsylvania, and that's 20 votes. So, yeah, it's a wrap. Trump is about to get in. Yeah, that's what that is. So, and I'm telling you, the whole South is trumped up. Like every so-called quasi-national domicile in the South, Trump took that, and all up in the Midwest and all of that, from Texas on up, from so-called Texas to so-called Florida, and from Florida to so-called North Carolina and everything in between, except Illinois. Trump locked that. But we already know that this is it's all predestined anyway. But yeah, so that's what it is, on the so-called election day. But it's time to go a level up. I'll say, that's just where I'm at with it. So. Islam, y'all there?
Yep, I am here.
Oh, I was saying, wake up, you sleepy-headed Moors. You're going to be forced to make changes, and here it is.
Here it is. You know what I mean? Here it is. Trump. And I think it's just odd because, he represents the arrogance, to me, he represents the arrogance of these Europeans, talking crazy about our country, and these are pilgrims, and, wanting to build a so-called wall to keep so-called immigrants out. And these are the only immigrants here. It's his lineage.
I know, that's craziness. They are the immigrants. Yes.
Yeah.
If you go went to Ellis Island to prove that, we saw it. They don't even hide it. They are the immigrants. And they're talking about the wall to keep immigrants out. Oh, my gosh. That's crazy. And that's why we'll have to wake up. Their place amongst the affairs of man.
Yep.
Yes. Well, that concludes our broadcast. We shall see you tomorrow for Moorish Heritage and History School near Harlem Corporation at the National Theater here on American soil, northwest of Maxim. This is your host, Anita Ill, Mizraim, Alice Ill, and RVBey, bidding you peace and love and good night.
All right. Peace and love, y'all.
Our problem is lack of knowledge and the intended deceit and trickery done, because even those who read the bibliotelecheck that you call the Bible says he shall fool even the most elite. So even those who think they're highly educated in this and that, they've been fooled. That's it. It's not really complicated.
It's the miseducation of the Negro. Everybody knows it, to those who need to know. It's the miseducation of the Negro. When we rise from the dead, they call us Pharaoh. It's the miseducation of the Negro. Everybody knows it, to those who need to know. It's the miseducation of the Negro. When we rise from the dead, they call us Pharaoh. The gods are back, the Moors are strapped. We waking up, and we want our land back. Running off, that's a trap. You know them gods don't like that. Waking up from a nap, like where the hell my crown at? Take a step back, like I know this bitch ain't bite back. That's kinda crazy how this karma it strikes back. We enslaved Islam, so they slaved us right back. We called them niggas, then they nigga this right back. We brought them to light, but they ain't bring that right back. If I was lazy, dirty days and with the baby, then just maybe won't revolt like Haiti. I too strong, love a poor Marcus Garvey, your ass. No, but you are leading God body the man. Now I ain't gotta be bad, and you ain't gotta be mad, but the planet is heating up, so the first I'll be last. I got that melanin that's better than anything you ever medicine. We at your front door, wonder why you never let us in. Oh, I get it, you never wanted to put some credits in. Well, just forget it, cause I don't know if you can edit sin. We've been enlightened long before Thomas Edison. Skeletons to prove that you wasn't even relevant. In the Caucasus Mountains, cause the sun was your deficit. Captain Caveman with the plan of the Jesuits. Check my bloodline, but in time I bring the evidence. Self-governing body, so I don't need no president. Democrat, Republican, donkey versus elephant. I studied it all, so I ain't down with none of that. I self-law and master, so I'm running that. This Molotov cocktail burns faster, so I like the match. Despite the fact that ain't even what I'm mad at. I spit the truth, so here's the roof, so you can hear that. My skin is brown and here's the proof, but you ain't hearing that. Dead in the eyes of the law, that's why they call you black. Naming all caps when you fall, that's why I strike back. And strike that from the record ab initio. You gon' need more than some pressure, I got a vicious flow. I can take the road to the high, or I can hit them low. Try to calcify my third eye, oh you gon' have to go. Chemtrails all over the sky, and you don't wanna know. Don't go inside of my tribe, they call me no more.
If you believe that your history started on a slave boat, I can guarantee you that's where it ended too. That's what I'm saying. Then, after saying that, and so believe me, go back and do some studies past the 1700s, and I'll guarantee you, sure as you're sitting there listening, or wherever you are, watching, listening, you will find nothing but the word Moor, and that's nothing. Because we work on black. The description, maybe, blackamoor or whatever, but that's it. Know the difference between a description and an actual, person, place, or thing, noun. I mean, really.
It's the miseducation of the Negro. Everybody knows it, to those who need to know. It's the miseducation of the Negro. When we rise from the dead, they call us Pharaoh. It's the miseducation of the Negro. Everybody knows it, to those who need to know. It's the miseducation of the Negro. When we rise from the dead, they call us Pharaoh. From the pyramids to the project, the beginning is the part they want you to forget. Implant your memory with that noose around your neck. It's the king out for planning, it's set in full effect. The butler, the help, in 12 years a slave. Django and Selma, they get them accolades. They made a movie called Exodus about the gods and kings with an all-white cast from Egypt. Now that's the same. They ain't never seen no movie about no European slaves. We were traveling the seas when they was living in caves. We had to civilize them, show them how to behave. In fact, we brought them light and taught them how to bathe. This is trading places with stolen identity. We agreed to be educated by our own enemy. Reverse psychology, I'ma need a lobotomy. An exorcism just to get this shit up out of me. Ross Mariah, Anna E, Miss Raheem, Tariq, Cujo from Cannonland. Listen to them speak. I done learned from the best. I don't need no DNA test. The nations in my womb has given from the breast. The empire's back, so you know what's next. The Moors are waking up, now you must confess. Yes, yes. The Moors are waking up, now you must confess.
Birthright theft. The whole deal was, where's my land that, for them? The whole deal was, this is really quote-unquote promised land. This is really the quote-unquote heart of civilization. This is really what you might call Northwest Africa. That's what, and I say that to people so they can stop saying I'm going back to Africa and understand that they're in it. It's the Garden of Eden.
That's what they had in Columbus's journal that they arrived
Absolutely.
in Eden.
So what has happened is absolute lies. That's right. And the land of milk and honey is another terminology. So these things are important because as you're doing studies, and if it says the land of milk and honey,
when you don't go to Geico.com, car insurance can seem intense. Like breakup R&B intense.
I thought you said you loved the sweater that I got